any African the best way to fight poverty. He or she will tell you improvement in agriculture for food security or change in governance. Here's a good answer. Education. Education is the beginning of a great war against poverty in Africa. The higher the level of education, the sounder our decisions are. The very issue of food insecurity we Africans complain about can be solved through higher education. Educated African farmers will be more informed about the types of equipment which can be used for agricultural purposes, variety of fertilizer, tactics for higher crop yields, and more. Education of mega teachers, journalists, and persons with influence in society is crucial, as they are responsible for informing society on developments, giving leaders bearing, and instigating positive change in society. Here's how it works. Farmers, primary education, secondary education, university's bachelor education, master's education, PhD education. From there, they learn internet use, email, blogs, Facebook, use of sophisticated material, replacing manual farming with computerized farming, commercial farming. From commercial farming comes good governance. Good governance leads to economic empowerment. From economic empowerment, we will overcome poverty. We are on a mission for change. We are on a journey to educate African youth out of poverty. The Foundation for Indigent Students of Africa is a homegrown, not-for-profit philanthropic, Africa-wide organization registered in Kenya by people from different nationalities. Fisa seeks to educate bright African students from humble backgrounds by offering them scholarships to pursue higher education, which includes master's and PhD.
People view Africa as a black continent, a dark continent with dark people and no progress. Everything is crime and lack of vision. Therefore, we said we set up this foundation. Its purpose is first to tap into those brilliant children or youth from very humble backgrounds who have things to give back to society, who are abandoned because nobody's taking care of them and nobody wants to know about them. So we think that if we tap into their brains, give them education, higher education, they will bring far more to society than has been the situation. The example is, if you ask an African how best to overcome poverty in Africa, he will tell you agriculture. Develop agriculture, and once you develop agriculture, everything will take its own course. But what they have failed to tell us is you cannot develop agriculture without education and information. If you have somebody who is farming, didn't go to school, he can only do very little with the little knowledge he has. But if you educate him and educate him properly to be able to inform himself and inform others, he will make a whole lot of difference. That is why educating the African youth is necessary to educate the African youth out of poverty. But before you can educate them out of poverty, you have to first educate them and equip them to understand various things in various disciplines and be able to communicate them effectively. With that kind of communication, you are in a forefront of changing society. Then, take the agricultural development example I gave. If you give a child primary education, he will only give you a product from primary education as an agriculturist. You give him secondary education, he gives you a product of secondary school as his output. You give him a first degree, he gives you a generalistic view about whatever subject he's looking at. But if he has a master's or a PhD, he becomes a specialist in a particular field, and he can be relied upon to create jobs, to employ people. Of course, he employs himself first and employs people, and by employing people, he creates jobs. And by creating jobs, he is fighting crime and he is fighting poverty. And in fighting poverty, he is securing the society. Terrorism be a thing of, reduced if it is not completely eradicated. Yeah? And so these are the fundamentals that we think are necessary, and that's why we are hammering at education. We are hammering at education and information, accurate information. When somebody is properly educated and he makes a proper agenda, his proper agenda is properly interpreted through informed decision making, and this is laid at the table of the leadership. When the leaders are properly informed and they have a correct agenda, they can implement, and their implementation, for instance, can lead to the best way of improving agriculture. It moves from manual agriculture, manual farming, to mechanized farming. From mechanized farming, you can now manufacture enough food, produce enough food for everybody to eat, and now have enough for export. And when you go into commercial farming, you now earn a lot of money to employ more people in the job. People you train in engineering come out with visions about the new machines that can help in agriculture. People you train in sea engineering, you come out with ships that can take people who live in riverine areas to produce and market where in the land side, and so on and so. There are so many things. Same with our aviation. We are looking at all the sectors of human endeavor, getting specialists in them, trained to become specialist correspondents in them, and specialist reporters, specialist communicators. And with this, they can always look at any situation, analyze it, interpret it, and translate and use it for human development. This is the way we are going, and that is the origin of this thing.
The University of Nairobi happens to be the first institution that has benefited from the Fisa initiative of providing scholarships to students who are pursuing communication studies at postgraduate level. And the University of Nairobi was fortunate to benefit from one such scholarship last year. So the University of Nairobi is proud, and privileged to be the first African institution to benefit from this scholarship. I may need to mention that Fisa targets to help students from various African universities, not just universities in Kenya. So the fact that out of all the universities in Africa, the University of Nairobi happened to have been the first that benefited from the Fisa scholarship makes us a bit special as far as this linkage is concerned. We are engaged in some kind of, an academic partnership where the University of Nairobi provides education to postgraduate students. Fisa identifies needy students who are gifted and gives them scholarships to come and do our postgraduate program. So that is the linkage that we have. The Fisa scholarship is a competitive scholarship, and to benefit from it, what we do is that every year the scholarships are advertised in mainstream media, and all persons who qualify apply. The application is open to anyone who is interested, who meets the criteria. And the criteria involves people who have completed a first degree in any discipline, people who have excelled in their first degrees and got either a first class or an upper second, people who have excellent communication skills, linguistic competence, people who believe in the African cause, and people who will make a difference when they get postgraduate education and communication. So we welcome such candidates to apply, and then we do shortlisting. We take them through a very rigorous, filtering process. Then we select 20 top candidates who we invite for a competitive interview. And then from the competitive vetting, we select the number that we have the funds to assist that particular year. The Fisa scholarship happens to be one of the best of its kind, meaning one of the best that is available locally. Because when somebody benefits from the Fisa scholarship, you're entitled to full tuition fees paid, so you don't have to worry about fees as a beneficiary. 2, you're also entitled to a stipend for each and every month of the stay at the university. 3, you're also entitled to research fees, research allowance. You're given money to conduct your research, to gather your data, to engage a few research assistants, to engage people who help you analyze your data, and compiling of the full report, you get money to do that. It's also entitled to some little book allowance you to buy books, journals, and other learning resources. So those are very crucial benefits for any scholarship, and it's very rare to come across a scholarship locally that guarantees you to earn.
Start by commending Fisa the foundation for indigent students of Africa, and its founder, Mr. Desmond Ojiako, for coming up with this initiative. This is a great initiative. This is a commendable initiative that takes into cognizance the importance of communication as a critical tool in the development process, because no country, no society can develop where communication structures are not clear. And what Fisa seeks to do, therefore, is to promote the role of communication as an important tool in the communication process, so that we can have people who specialize and who have a deep understanding of the dynamics that inform communication within the African context, and who are going therefore to influence the process of policy formulation, so that African continent and the African countries can come up with policies that will help to propel their communities and their people to greater heights of development. If you look at a country like Kenya, since independence, we declared three evils that we needed to overcome, and these three evils were poverty, disease, and ignorance. And if you look at the aspect of ignorance, it can only be overcome, it can only be eliminated through education that comes with informed communicators, informed specialists. People are taking time to understand really what are the causes of the challenges that we face as an African continent.
I'm the first beneficiary of Fisa. I joined this place in last year, around October, through what I want to call a very difficult process. There being almost, I understand there were like 20 more other beneficiaries. The process wasn't hard. You had to go through the usual process of applying and coming for interviews, and it wasn't easy. I remember when I went for the interview and I saw 6 board members seated there, and I knew, wow, this is actually happening. And the reason I was so motivated to actually try it out is because I knew through Fisa maybe I'm going to get a chance into pursuing higher education, which I knew was definitely not something that was on my line, bearing in fact where I was coming from, and there are no funds for me to actually go ahead into doing this. And when they called me up and told me you got a master's scholarship, I was so excited, I couldn't believe it. When I joined Fisa, I asked myself, why communication? I actually asked the founder, why communication? And there's something he told me very important, that as much as people say knowledge is power, communication is power.
I joined Fisa at the beginning of this year. I think the first employee besides the beneficiary, and my journey with Fisa has been a very educative experience, and I bought into the vision of Fisa because what they're trying to achieve is it's visionary, I should say. The intention why the foundation was set up is to give scholarships to needy students, and myself, coming from a very humble background, it's not been easy in getting through the undergraduate program.
I'd just like to say I'm very proud to be associated with the foundation. I wish it a very big congratulations. We launched the foundation alongside the magazine which I edit called Film is Africa. It's been a brilliant journey so far, and I'm looking forward to doing more work in Kenya, East Africa, and the rest of Africa. I'd like to use this as a plea to ask African leaders out there to look at what we're doing and take very serious interest, because we care so much about African youth, we care so much about development. We're real Pan-Africanists at heart, and we want to see change, real change in Africa. So if you believe in the change that we're also looking at, please come and support us. Thank you very much. We appeal for funders and well-wishers. The following are different sponsorship categories you can take interest in.